Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you ever so much for taking this time out of your busy days to join us here today. We're really thrilled to have you here, and I'm really thrilled to have you here because the message that we've got to you today is fairly short. It's not going to be a super long session by any stretch, but it is really important, and we are absolutely so excited to introduce Harmony by Checkpoint, which is Checkpoint's latest development. You'll remember that I said on my invitation to you all that actually Checkpoint, in my view, have taken a giant leap forward with this new product, and really it's really exciting to see. So I'm joined today by Gethin Jones, who's the lead architect for Harmony here at Checkpoint UK. I'm really thrilled to have him on the line with us as well. A lot of you will know Checkpoint and know Gethin and know that he will give us a really engaging presentation and a real great amount of detail and put things into context for us. So with all of that being said, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes just positioning everything for you. And the first thing I wanted to say is, how did we get here? So a little tiny history lesson, it's only very short, but I just wanted to set the scene for how we've ended up in this place. And as you know, IT security and networks in general are all about evolution. So where have we come from then? Well, since 1993, Checkpoint, Gil Schwed, the CEO of Checkpoint, invented the stateful firewall. And since then, he's grown Checkpoint. He's still the CEO and the largest shareholder, so it's very much still his company and his vision. Checkpoint have been market leaders in IT security for 27 years. And in that time, we've seen constant innovation. So really, we've seen Checkpoint grow from strength to strength and really set the agenda in terms of people's thinking on IT security. Part of that comes from their massive commitment to R&D. I think if we were to look at the stats, they're about 4 times the amount of people and 4 times the amount of spend of their nearest competitor, which just gives them huge reach in terms of being able to understand and really provide that kind of vision for the next 5 to 7 years, which we see very clearly. So Harmony is really that next giant stride. In terms of Lithify messaging, well, you know very well that we don't have such a long history. We're quite a new company, but since our inception, really, we've had messaging that's run in parallel with Checkpoint. So in the very early days, I was talking about what I called mind the gap, using that lovely analogy from the tube trains that probably very few of us have seen recently, but we all know them well. And really that was about thinking about the problems that come with point solutions. So it doesn't really matter to me how great a point solution is. Point solutions being things that address a specific need in IT security, but they don't do the whole thing. And there are some phenomenal ones out there. But my problem with that has always been that it is the gap between that product and the next one where the problems occur. And whilst it's possible, and you know very well with my team, that they are superheroes in their fields, they are very capable of stitching things really closely together. But even when things are really tight together at the beginning, it doesn't take very long before those gaps start to become apparent as versions change, product roadmaps change, and of course business moves on as well. So at that point, gaps start to present a risk because that's how the bad guys are going to get in. And they also bring with them lots and lots of complexity, management headaches, and so on. So we sort of started there. And then last summer, as a lot of you will know from talking to me personally, we started to think about what did the changes in the world mean in terms of networks and in terms of users. And I started to say, do you know what? It's about time we started thinking about putting the user at the center of the network. Because we'd seen, hadn't we, that everybody had been sent home, but we've noticed that a good employee will do their job from wherever they are. So they will just get on and get it done, no matter what the controls and the difficult circumstances, they'll just make it happen. So rather than thinking about IT security in terms of data, which of course is always going to be important, but data first, then the network, then maybe allowing, restricting, permitting users to come into that. Why don't we turn that on its head and think about users being the people who keep the business running? All the big quotes you hear about people saying, my business would be nothing without my employees, my team are amazing, and so on. So if that team is amazing, how do we serve that user with all of the tools they need to do their job from wherever they are? And really that's using security as an enabler rather than as a restriction, rather than locking down. So you can imagine I was absolutely thrilled when I saw this slide from Checkpoint earlier this year. So essentially at CPX, which was Checkpoint's large annual user conference, which normally would take place in person, last year's was in Vienna. This time it was all online, but there were some tremendous announcements. This was only sort of 2 weeks ago that these announcements were made. But Checkpoint have then said, hang on a minute, you is where security starts. Users are where security starts. And we deserve to make sure that those users are protected. And it's not good enough to just say, hey, listen, we'll protect their corporate PC or their corporate laptop. We need to protect them wherever they are and whatever they're doing. If they're accessing corporate data, if they're doing work, they need to be protected. So, of course, here we are now in this land of Checkpoint, call it the everywhere employee. I call it a blended lifestyle because, let's face it, we're all going from our kitchen tables, as we can see here, to our smartphones. And unlike in previous times where we've been able to get away with saying, well, if you're working remotely, you can have access to email and possibly the CRM, but not very much else. We need to start being able to allow people, and we have done in a lot of cases, we've started to say this person needs to have access to all the tools that they would ordinarily use if they were sitting at their desk in the office. So really that's led us then, and a lot of these things have been made as changes on the fly. In March, April time last year, we were making a lot of very quick changes in order to enable some of this stuff. But in this new world, if I think about myself, I could be any one of these people represented here at different times of the day or the week. So I might be working from home, I might be working on my smartphone, which I know a lot of you know that I do that a lot. I could also be working in a branch office. And in the old world, we would have said, okay, big perimeter firewalls at the center, maybe have a smaller firewall at a branch, but of course that's problematic because you may not have standing IT staff based there. It all becomes a bit of a headache. And for the user, it becomes very, very complex because they go to the office, they get one experience, they're working from home, they get another experience. All of these things have to be put into play. And there's an awful lot of different elements in a network that people need to access. So it becomes very, very complex, doesn't it? There's lots of different solutions, lots of various routes. And along with that comes my same concern that I had 3 years ago when I was talking about Mind the Gap, because I'm trying to stitch together all of these various logos and all these various vendors to provide a coherent security posture, and that's extremely difficult to do. So I'm absolutely thrilled because the big step change is to say, hang on a minute, why don't I get rid of all the point solutions over here on the left and all these multiple vendors here to access all this stuff over here, and just replace it with one solution which does it all, which replaces clunky VPNs, which replaces branch access that's always been a problem, and brings everything together. And it's a tremendous message. It opens up a whole world of possibilities that we didn't previously have. And really, the possibilities are quite tremendous in all of this. So I'm absolutely, ecstatic that we're bringing all of these kinds of things together. You can imagine that being able to provide all of these things, which ordinarily would have been separate solutions in one platform, is a huge step forward, because now this person over here gets the same experience whatever they're doing. And it means that you can be very much more sure of your authentication for your assets on the right. So really, that's the message today, and just the simplicity that it brings, the ease of management that it brings are absolutely tremendous. But hey, that is my little introduction. I'm sure you can see why I'm so excited about this, because this is a game changer. None of the other major vendors have this kind of a solution right now. I am sure it's going to bring along some copycats as we go along, but we've seen this from Checkpoint time and again. They lead the market, they lead the discussion, and here we are. But I would really like you to hear it from the horse's mouth. And I've got my lovely friend Gethin on the line, as I mentioned earlier. So I'd like to introduce him now. Gethin, how have you been?
Are you Hi, Liz. Hello, everybody else. Yes, I have been absolutely madly busy. We all work in IT security, so I just keep posting this meme up all the time, as I haven't had time to stop. My friends who aren't working in the IT security industry have redecorated their houses, they've redecorated their gardens, although how you redecorate a garden, I'm not sure, but they've been all over the place, which made me think that we spend all our time in IT, we think about IT, so it's our bread and butter. But what about all the users who are using our solutions? So I thought this would make quite a nice presentation with regards to various use cases. So before this webinar, I sent out a post on Facebook to my non-IT friends saying, can you send me a picture of where you're currently working? So I thought we'd use this to address these 6 points that Liz mentioned previously. So the first one I got back was Gavin. So this is actually the picture he sent me. Gavin was out and about, just having a cup of coffee, obviously social distancing and no more than 5 miles from his home. But he had literally just got off his laptop. So he was using his laptop to answer some emails, and he was using his phone to connect via 4G. So this was Harmony Endpoint with the VPN remote access. The next one I got back was from Leslie. That's not Leslie, that's her dog. And of course, she was out and about as well, which by this point, I'm starting to get quite annoyed because I haven't left the house for about 7 days. But Leslie's a surveyor, so she takes her laptop out and about with her as well. So she's connecting back over 4G and whatever Wi-Fi access she can find, obviously without lockdown, Costa, Starbucks, McDonald's, whatever's offering free Wi-Fi. But this is also Harmony Endpoint and the VPN remote access. Harmony Endpoint, of course, because the hard drive needs to be encrypted and managed. But we've mentioned Endpoint twice now, so let's have a look at Harmony Endpoint. So Harmony Endpoint is going to secure these machines by reducing the attack surface. So we've got the host firewall in there and, of course, the data security. Because Gavin, when he's out and about walking, let's face it, I'm sure he's lost more than a laptop. And Leslie, looking after the dog, loses a laptop. Doesn't matter, it's encrypted. So let's reduce that attack surface. On top of that, we've got preventing the attacks before they run. So we've got content disarm reconstruction, sandboxing, next generation antivirus, zero-day phishing, anti-ransomware, anti-bot, anti-exploit, behavioral guard, and forensic analysis. All this built into the endpoint with web and email protection as well. So we're blocking malicious downloads without stopping the users from working. We're doing this with threat extraction and threat emulation. Threat emulation is our sandboxing offering. And of course, sandboxing, if I wanted to send you a malware, I'd send you a 971-page document and say, please have a look at page 950. A lot of sandboxing solutions wouldn't scroll all through that because it would take too long and they'd time out. So it's a way that malware writers try and get past sandboxing solutions. But we've not just got sandboxing on here as well. We've got about 60 other AI machine learning algorithms all working as well. But it's still going to take time. So threat extraction takes a picture of the file or removes the malicious content so the user gets a 100% free, malware-free file. Now, normally nothing's 100%, but this is a picture of the original document. A lot of the times I don't need to request, as you can see on the screen, you can get the original. I don't need to request the original document because the PDF is all I need, but I can still get it, which means the users are still high productivity, but they're also very secure because, of course, 100% malware-free document. On top of this as well, we have real-time phishing. So we have anti-phishing and zero-day phishing. The difference between the two is anti-phishing is referencing our database, But zero-day phishing is actually looking at the web page you're going to. So it may look like the right page to log into, but what Harmony Endpoint is doing is actually scanning the page, not just the look and feel, but the code as well involved. So it's not just a case of making sure that this is the correct web page that you want to log into. It's also running anti-exploit on here to make sure there's no exploits running behind the scenes. So in this case, visual similarity was correct and domain reputation was okay, but everything else was rubbish. So this is a deceptive site. Zero-day phishing, really necessary, especially with all the phishing attacks that we're getting at the moment. On top of that, we have corporate credential reuse. I don't think this is super duper security, but it's a really nice to have for the end users, especially seeing as 6 years ago with the LinkedIn hack. And then we had 4 years ago when it was piped out all the passwords onto Pastebin. All the MD5 passwords are out there. So, of course, your corporate password, you're using it to log on to Facebook. Your Facebook is going to get hacked. It's not going to get hacked. Your non-IT friends are going to be answering those quizzes on Facebook, trying to find out what cupcake they look like the most by giving away their name, their date of birth, their pets, their friends, and their relatives. Never a good idea. Sorry?
We've all seen that, haven't we? We've all done that one. Which celebrity do I look most alike, and so on.
It's a very bad habit that a lot of us got into when, of course, the web first started 20, 30 years ago. But it's a habit we should all get out of. It's never a good idea. And I don't look like a cupcake. I look more like Kevin Bacon with this colour. Anyway, moving on from there, we have behavioural guard. So behavioural guard is also watching your machine and how you behave to make sure there's no malicious activity. Yes, that's a picture of anti-ransomware running on there because behavioural guard runs in the background. We're automatically recovering all the files because forensics is also working in the background. Yes, it's another picture of anti-ransomware, forensics, no GUI, but it's monitoring and collecting all the events, detecting the attacks, quarantining what's malicious, and then producing a forensics report so you can see what's going on very quickly after it's killed the entire attack chain. Of course, this is giving you more time to spend on critical tasks because you're spending less time on the tedious tasks. So you're talking about EDR, we're talking about endpoint detection and response. The forensics on the Harmony Endpoint is doing a lot of this job for you, So if you remember back about 10 or 15 years ago when we had to reboot the laptop in safe mode to remove the DLLs and the executables because the malware kept coming back and the anti-malware you were running wouldn't remove it, forensics is doing this for you. So you can spend more time on critical tasks, like wondering if we're ever going to get out of the house again, and who are Harry and Meghan anyway? The forensics report is going to produce this. I'm going to tell you the most important thing. First, do you need to panic? The answer here, no, even though this was the Maze ransomware. So don't need to panic on here. We can triage the attack elements, what's actually been going on. We can see the attack types that have come through. So not just ransomware, but bot and Trojan as well. We can see the business impact. So here you can see that 92 files were encrypted and restored. We can also see how it got in. It was Dave from accounting. It's always Dave from accounting. Just out of interest, if there is a Dave from accounting on this line, it's nothing personal, but stop clicking those links. And you can also see if it's all been cleaned. So it's not just a case of don't worry, forensics has handled it for you. It's producing a report to tell you that this is 100% clean, so you do not need to worry. On top of that, we have the MITRE ATT&CK framework reference, so you can actually reference the attack to a standard as what's been going on your machine. On top of that, you have the process map. What processes kicked off, what processes kicked off, what files downloaded, which machines, and so on and so on and so forth. It's all in here. Then we have a nice map. Obviously, with Tor redirection and various attacks coming from supernodes placed around the world, it's not exactly accurate, but it's nice to see where the majority of attacks pretend to be coming from. This is just Harmony Endpoint. Haven't even got to EDR yet, which is provided by threat hunting. This is directly from your management portal. It's automatically built into Harmony Endpoint, nothing additional to pay on here. So this is going to give you a complete environment overview. You can scan any of the machines in your network. You can use an IOC sweep. You can get this from an external vendor, in this case, VirusTotal. It will produce details of exactly what's going on with regards to the IOC event timelines and all the collected processes. So it's not just a case of the machine, what else was going on this machine. Once you've decided that the machines are in trouble or have an issue, from the same dashboard as well, if you have a look at the small, very bad picture down on the right-hand side, you can actually isolate the machine. You can terminate the process itself, or you can quarantine the file, or you can force another forensics report to actually find out what's going on. So if you find an executable, you're not quite sure what it's doing or where the hell it's come from, you can trigger a forensics report. It might not be malicious, it won't automatically happen. Trigger a forensics report and get a report on exactly what the file is doing and how it does it, with the same forensics report you've just seen being pulled up from the threat hunting window as well. Very useful tool, built in by default to the management. So that was Leslie and Gavin. So the next person to reply was Andre. And from this picture, I'm sure that Andre's just showing off. It's quite a nice gaming solution. It's also a water-cooled PC. He went on about it quite a bit. Not really helpful with Harmony, except it is, because that is not a corporate machine. So a lot of your users, if you haven't got laptops for them, they will be actually connecting over a corporate machine or over a device that you don't control and have no knowledge of. For this is client connectivity. So this is Harmony Connect. So Harmony Connect, totally user-friendly. The user logs into a web portal, same as they log into the bank. Two-factor authentication, multi-factor authentication, Okta, whatever it is you want to use, this ties in here as well. But they just have an easy-to-use web page, and it's zero trust. Very, very quick to set up. You don't need a VPN. You can completely replace it. As I said, it's user-friendly, and it's any device anywhere. So whether this is a tablet or a phone or a PC or a Mac, or you've managed to put up the window on a PlayStation, whatever you're using, you can use this securely to connect through to your corporate applications without putting your corporate applications at risk. Web access, RDP access, SSH and database access. So we can cover the business needs for business users, third-party contracts, or just customer support. Simply logging in. You do not have to troubleshoot the VPN connectivity. You do not have to troubleshoot the fact that Dave from accounting has about 15 icons on the sys tray and doesn't know what half of them are doing and doesn't know where the music is coming from. You don't need to worry about that because your corporate applications and servers are secure. This is because of the zero trust security that we're using. The user will connect web page to the control plane using whatever user authentication you require. The user is then transferred to the data plane connecting to our gateway, which connects to a connector on your internal network, your office network, your data center network, or even your cloud, or in my case, my home office. Very simple to set up, no direct communication. And it's also going through a checkpoint gateway that's automatically built in. This is going to give you least privilege access, separation of duties, and data center blacking. You're not connecting direct to your data center. You're connecting to a checkpoint gateway, which is then connecting to a secure connector, which is then connecting to your applications. So, of course, on the back of this as well, we have the forensics. So whenever a user logs on, we can see exactly what they've done. And if it's RDP and SSH, we have a complete video that's not creepy in the slightest, to show exactly what the user's done and how bad the user is at typing. It's still creepy. That's just creepy. I don't want you to see how badly my typing skills are when I'm working. Thank you very much. But you can do this.
You're making me nervous.
There are very specific use cases for for Harmony Connect, but they're brilliant. There's this connection on here. So many of my friends, I wouldn't trust to open a can of beans that was already open. But I can trust them to RDP and SSH and go into Salesforce, to whatever CRM the customer's running, because I know the connection's secure and the communication's secure. I don't need to worry about what the heck they're running on their machines. So, as I said, it's a cloud service and it's very quick to set up. It's stupidly quick to set up. When I initially try anything new from Checkpoint, I just install it first, then I read the document, the admin guide, just to see what I did wrong. This took me 15 minutes, and it was simply a cut and paste. I haven't had Docker installed before, but I've got Synology on my internal network. And it took 5 minutes to actually download the connector and connect back to the portal for management. I span up an Ubuntu server on my ESXi environment, literally 50 gig machine. Took 15 minutes. Very, very simple to set up. Go to portal.checkpoint.com if you want to have a look at this, because you can have trial accounts and you can test this out yourself. Very quick. Okay, and this is just half of it. That's just the clientless access. Harmony Connect also provides a mini client, and so you can force all of the traffic coming out from that device through a Checkpoint gateway. It works for remote offices, so you can connect a VPN from your router and to go to a Checkpoint gateway in the cloud. So your £20 router gets $2 million worth of IT security just by connecting a VPN. This also works with SD-WAN providers as well. So if you're using SD-WAN to connect through to your SaaS applications, then Harmony Connect will also provide the full Checkpoint security when browsing the rest of the internet. Got time to go into the details because there's so much in the Harmony suite, so we'll carry on. So next, Jamie sent me this picture. So at that point in time, I didn't bother with any more pictures. That was ridiculous. And they just went downhill from there. So definitely not safe for work or even safe for a computer. But that does cover point 1, 2, and 3. Harmony Endpoint, Harmony Connect, and of course the VPN remote access built into the product. And it's usually at this point in time where a lovely account manager mentions the fact that I haven't talked about 4, 5, or 6.
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, Gethin. I was just thinking to myself, gosh, he's only talked about 1, 2, and 3 so far. What about 4, 5, and 6?
Funny you should mention that, Liz. And thank you very much. I've already spoken about them, but we take them for granted. So it's not something that obviously springs to mind. So if we look at the secure emails, okay, all of the users I spoke to were either picking up emails over Office 365 or 3 of the guys were using G Suite. So Office 365, G Suite need to be protected as well. So this is where Harmony Email and Office comes in. Now, Harmony Email and Office will tie into Office 365, SharePoint, Dropbox, whatever SaaS application you've got via an API. So it's non-intrusive. So again, you can have a trial of Harmony Email and Office against your current Office 365. You can run it in monitor mode. You can get a nice report at the end of it and see how good your security level is without affecting the end users. In fact, the end users won't even know about it. But this also gets you the phishing protection that I've already spoken about, the exchange compromise, account impersonation, anti-malware that I've already spoken about, and account takeover. Now, account takeover to me is seriously important, especially now at the moment. Your Office 365 account is taken over, you don't know about it. It's just somebody logging in and reading your emails and finding the most vulnerable person in your organization and then sending emails on your behalf. Because a phishing email from somebody I don't know, I'm not going to really click on the link. The posts I've seen on Facebook now, everybody's becoming more IT savvy. They're not going to click on the PAL Pay and they're not going to click on the AWS renewal because it looks like a phishing email. But if I get a phishing email from somebody I know, I'm more likely to open the link, especially if I'm expecting the communication. That's where account takeover really is insidious. Then we've got internal threats as well, emails going between users for pushing the malware and links around the organization. Harmony Email and Office blocks that as well. And there's DLP built into this. Don't forget, this is not just for Office 365 or G Suite. Salesforce, OneDrive, MS Teams. This is protecting the entire cloud, if you like, with just the API. So non-intrusive protection. Checkpoint and nothing if not multi-layered threat prevention. We don't put 100% faith in any one bit of our product because it's a culmination of all the products protecting your organization. This doesn't apply to threat extraction, by the way, because that is 100% malware-free document. So next into the secure internet browsing, but I've already spoken about this as well. This is Harmony Browse. This is powered by a nano agent that is installed onto your web browser. So not directly to your operating system, just into your web browser. You do not need to care about SSL inspection. It's not how big is my gateway, can I cope with SSL inspection? SSL inspection doesn't kick in here at all because you're at the head end of the communication. You're right at the end of the communication, so SSL inspection, not important. I've installed quite a few gateways where I've had to size them specifically to handle the man-in-the-middle attack that is SSL inspection. So to me, as you probably noticed, this is quite a big deal. It works very smoothly as well. Zero-day phishing, already spoken about this. This is Harmony Browse, already built into Harmony Endpoint, as you've seen earlier on in the presentation. Pardon me. The zero-day malware protection, threat emulation, and threat extraction, as you've already seen previously in the presentation, all plugging in together. Corporate credential reuse, funnily enough, as you've already seen, part of Harmony Endpoint. There we go, the corporate password exposed again. And URL filtering, so you can also block sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now, this is not monitoring your users, so we can't tell the fact that I've spent all day on Facebook doing stupid posts about how are you working. It's just blocking the bad stuff. So typically it's the hacking, the terrorism, some sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And of course, it plugs into everything. This also plugs into Harmony Connect as well. So if you're just using that clientless access, but you want to make sure your users are a little bit more safe online, Harmony Browse plugs into their web browser. You want Harmony Endpoint, plugs into their web browser. Harmony Connect plugs into their web browser. Not using any of those products at all will plug into your web browser. You don't need to install the other products to run Harmony Browse. So that finally leaves us with secure mobile phones. Yeah, that's the biggest attack surface in anybody's organization. So Harmony Mobile is protecting the mobile phones. So you saw from the two use cases, Gavin and Leslie, both of them out and about, both connecting over 4G. So of course, as I said, they would also connect over Wi-Fi. So it doesn't matter what they're connecting through, Harmony Mobile would have them covered. Reason being is the behavioral risk engine. The majority of this runs in the cloud, but we have the BRE on the actual client as well. It's a cut down version because we're designed all this to use as little battery as possible. The most amount of battery usage you would see out of Harmony Mobile is 6%, which is not that bad, seeing as you get all this protection as well. The same anti-phishing, the same safe browsing. You also get conditional access, so that if your phone is compromised, or your tablet is compromised in any way, you can block access to all of the above. Then we've got anti-bot built in here as well. URL filtering again, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Protected DNS, Wi-Fi network security, man-in-the-middle attack protection. So the MITM is the most important bit when all of our users are out and about. Admittedly, apart from Leslie and Gavin, who are apparently running around the entire country, we're all stuck at home, so we're not using these free Wi-Fi spots, but we will be in April. Please, fingers crossed. On top of this, we've got the device risk assessment as well. So the OS vulnerabilities, we've had a couple of OS vulnerabilities over the past month. We've got the device level exploits, and more importantly, the jailbreak detection. Never let jailbroken phone connect to corporate assets. But I'm seeing more and more jailbroken phones. And I think I've worked out why. I think the reason is Spotify. If you jailbreak your phone, you can download the Spotify SDK, which means that you can listen to free music without any adverts because it's the SDK. So I know a lot of users who have jailbroken their phones just to stop the adverts because they don't want to pay Spotify. So if Spotify just closed that loophole, about 50% of jailbroken phones wouldn't be jailbroken anymore. But if they are, Harmony Mobile will protect you against any jailbroken phones connecting to your organization. So within the phone itself, phishing protection, obviously slightly different because it's a different browser, but it's still the same anti-phishing engine, page blocked. Not only downloading applications from Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, this also protects you against side-loaded applications. So it will alert the user as to why the application is bad. what it's been doing and what it's reading. So on this course, you can dismiss the alert, but you can also force the application to be uninstalled as well. All this referencing our threat cloud database, which is powering not just Harmony Mobile, but our gateways, our endpoints, our physical gateways, virtual gateways. Everything is being powered into our threat cloud database. Obviously, Checkpoint say it's the world's largest threat database, but of course everybody says that. But at the beginning of this year, we were getting 86 billion hits a day. I thought the number was made up because that's ever so slightly more than Google. But no, we were getting 86 billion hits in one day. It was just phenomenal. So, of course, this is managed by portal.checkpoint.com. I'll say that again, portal.checkpoint.com. If you've not been there, please go and have a look, because not only can you manage Harmony Mobile, but you can also manage everything else I've spoken about as well. So Harmony Connect, Endpoint, Mobile, Email and Office, and Browse, all managed from one central SaaS application, portal.checkpoint.com. So the threat hunting that you saw with the endpoint, portal.checkpoint.com. The endpoint management and configuration, portal.checkpoint.com. Harmony Connect, portal.checkpoint.com. And hopefully now everyone has remembered the URL, portal.checkpoint.com. So, Liz, in answer to your question, I'm great, thanks. Having an absolutely fantastic time, probably drinking too much coffee. And I think I've done this webinar backwards.
No, surely not. You're back at the beginning now, aren't you? We're right back where we started, and it is just such a fabulous suite of solution. And actually, when you lay it all out like that, it's really hard to believe that all of those elements exist in that one thing. It's really quite phenomenal. Those of you who know Lithify well will know that we, on the website, there's a big thing about pillars and stone frontages and things like that. And that's really my analogy for all of those elements that we need to provide a strong, solid foundation for business that allows us to then go and do whatever it is that our business is great at or our enterprise is great at. And it's just about knowing that it's there. When you walk through a set of Doric columns, you don't really think about them very much. You just know that they're there. You know that they're standing up. They know that they're putting a roof above your head. And really, this is where Checkpoint is going, isn't it? It's just about providing that you're safe, you're secure, you can get on with what you do, you don't have to think about it anymore. And it's really quite phenomenal, isn't it?
Well, when I first saw the Harmony offering, it was like, there's so much stuff in there. What's the benefit of this? Do I buy that? Do I buy that? And do I buy that? Then I saw the bundle pricing, and then it all made sense.
Absolutely.
So everything I have covered is available, costed price. I've talked to your account manager in the Harmony Suite bundle. So the Harmony Connect Access. I have quite a few friends that you want to have a look at their computers. They've got about 50 icons running down there. They should know better, and they do every single quiz on Facebook. I wouldn't want that computer connecting back to anything of mine, let alone anything corporate. But the Harmony Connect, the web page connectivity, I showed you the creepy picture of that video as well. The actual RDP is very quick, very, very smooth within the web page itself, and of course you're not directly connecting. You've got several points of disassociation with the Checkpoint gateway and the actual Docker that's installed, which was stupidly quick. If anybody's going to get it wrong, it's going to be me. But I just installed it by cutting and pasting into Ubuntu, and it's like, wow, that just works. And that's what I'm looking for in this industry. What I want every day is that it just works. Thank you very much. It took me 14 hours to configure it, and I had to reboot the machine several times. It just worked.
Yeah, so, part wheels in a minute and things like that. Yeah, absolutely. It's really quite astonishing, isn't it? Especially given that we're seeing a lot of offerings these days that require that you're in the cloud. And of course, that connector doesn't require that everything is in the cloud. We know in the real world, some things will never get to the cloud. So having that connector that you can set up so quickly and can address data center applications, things that are running on a server in your head office is really very powerful indeed, isn't it?
Absolutely. And of course, the Docker also ties into your cloud installations as well. So you've not got your users directly connecting to your cloud, especially if you've got any developers as well. Okay, they're going through Checkpoint Gateway with everything I just mentioned turned on. So you've got not just the communication, but actually the communication content being checked. So yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. But it's the Harmony suite, because it's only a few users in my organization are going to use Harmony Connect. Only a few users are going to be using Harmony Endpoint, but everybody's going to be using the entire Harmony suite. And because the Harmony suite is just the one cost, you don't get those really horrible, oh yeah, you can do this, but you need to buy, or you need this extra, or you need this bit here, or that bit there. It's all in the Harmony suite. And that was when it clicked for me, because of that one single cost for everything. And it's not stupidly high.
No, it's really quite astonishing where they've set the price point. So if anybody wants to discuss that, then just give me a ring or give the team a ring. They'd be very happy to talk about it. What I should also mention as well at that point, if I may, Gethin, is that for organisations who already have part of the suite. So, for example, if you're running what is now called Harmony Email and Office, which was CloudGuard SaaS, then there is an upgrade path for that, isn't there? You'll see the badges on your console starting to change straight away. And the same for Sandblast Agent, Sandblast Mobile. They're now all part of this and can be built in if people would like to convert and add on those additional functions.
It's the management and the client. It's a SaaS application. It's automatically upgraded for you. You get an email alert saying your platform is going to be upgraded X, Y, and Z, but it's somebody else's problem. So the backups happen every hour. The snapshots of the actual entire platform happen every day. Okay, 99.9% uptime, and that's just the front-end portal. The back-end servers, of course, have the 100% uptime. I know nothing's ever 100%, but as close as it can possibly get. If you're wondering about, and anybody ever says anything's 100%, apart from those malware-free documents, it's not true. So you look at Microsoft yesterday. Is today Wednesday?
I think it's Wednesday today. Yeah.
Monday. DDoS attack on Monday took out half the Microsoft infrastructure and a load of other companies as well. So you can't plan for this. Even if you think you've got the best security in the world, someone's going to come along and show you haven't. But if you've got multi-layered threat prevention, just because they get through one bit doesn't mean they get through all the others as well. And that's where the strength is, everything working together. On the Harmony Endpoint, the anti-ransomware, behavioral guard, and forensics, those three work together to completely secure your machine. The anti-malware is like a standard add-on. It used to be a de facto standard. Whenever you have a network, you must have a firewall. Doesn't matter who the vendor is, you must have a firewall. Now it's the case of if you've got a PC, you must have antivirus. I don't know anybody who isn't running some sort of antivirus, even if it's just free. But it's the behavioral guard, anti-ransomware, and forensics working together so that when you find malware outbreak, you get a lovely report saying, yeah, we sorted that, don't worry. Oh, okay, thanks, that's brilliant. And it's not just a case of believing the report. You can see the timeline and everything that's been done. Everything that's been manipulated, changed, downloaded, uploaded, deleted, reconfigured is all in the forensics report. And if you're worried about anywhere else in your organization, you've got threat hunting on top of that as well. It's not enough time to go through absolutely everything, even with the 14 espressos that I had before this webinar. But it is worth breaking out and talking about individual points or literally having a look yourself.
You know what, I think we will do that, Gethin. As the year goes on, we'll schedule further webinars to discuss elements of this. So I'd really like to do one about VPN replacement, because the capabilities that we've just seen around connections for users are just so much greater with this platform than a traditional VPN, and also the zero trust piece as well. So really, we've got an awful lot to talk about, and I could talk to you all day, but I think we should arrange some of these for another time, if that's okay.
Proper technical deep dive into the products and what have you. Anybody who's on the call, if you have specific use cases, please feel free to drop Liz a line. More than happy to help. And we fit into almost all use cases.
I think you're right. I think we do. And one final question from me before we close out, if that's okay. if you were a network administrator right now, thinking about the need to remodel the network because the business shape is changing, because perhaps you've gone from one big building with most people in it most days to now a whole blended approach, because let's face it, we might all be able to get back to the office, but I don't think everybody will go back every single day. What would your view be on that? Would this be useful there?
Yes, absolutely. And any security engineer from Checkpoint or Lithify is going to tell you how we can help you, not how we can make your life miserable just to get your money. So if any of our products don't fit, we say that doesn't fit in that, you would need something like X, Y, and Z. We are here to help you secure your organization and make your life easier and my life easier. Not make it more difficult with stupid technical support calls or ridiculous things from end users. The whole point is to have an easy life, which I haven't got yet. It was a plan. It didn't happen. Maybe I can, work normal hours after lockdown, but it's just been insane at the present moment in time. But yeah, more totally happy to help with the cases and the specific customers' requirements.
Well, thank you very much for that, Gethin. That has been such a whirlwind session, and it's so much exciting information. I know, well, your sessions are always exciting and engaging, we know that, but it is wonderful to hear you talk about Harmony and the kind of experiences that people can think about generating for their users. I'm really, really thrilled that you were here. And my next thank you, of course, is to everybody that's on the call. Thank you very, very much for attending. We are absolutely thrilled that you were here to join us. We very much look forward to hearing your feedback. And to that end, we have a little questionnaire, which we will publish the details of, and they'll be on the final slide in a moment, which is just lithify.co.uk/harmony-webinar. You can find the link as well at the bottom of our website, right at the very bottom right-hand menu. But if you're able to fill in that questionnaire for us, we've got a little prize draw going on. So we'll put all of the names into a hat, and we'll draw out some prize winners. You know what, Gethin, this would be right up your street, because I know how much you love coffee, and our lovely team at Checkpoint, Tasha and the rest of your team, have very kindly donated a subscription for 6 months for either coffee, tea or brownies. I think I can guess which one you'd have.
6 months subscription. Yeah, so a couple of days. Yeah, thanks. Great.
Yeah. I think for you, I think it would probably only last a few days, but for somebody, consumption is a little more normal, shall we say. It's a 6-month subscription, and we hope that whoever wins that will really very much enjoy it.
And what was the URL?
Sorry? Oh, the URL is, the URL is lithify.co.uk/harmony-webinar. It will be on the final slide in a few moments' time. But all that remains is for me to thank you very, very much for your presentation today, and to thank everyone for attending. We look forward to seeing you soon. Many thanks.
Thanks for listening, everybody.